It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This evening, let us play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation. Now, if I was really cool, I would have said that while imitating Yoda, but I'm not that cool. We shall begin with our first phase of mindful crease counting. The luxury car of mindfulness and meditation traverses the smooth road afforded to us by Anu Yoga's energy work. There are many flavors of energy work. I figured that the most efficient is mudra, or a finger gesture oriented energy work. Thank you, Kevin. So we're going to gather our first of 4 collections of our right hand's 12 repetitions and our left hand's 12 sets. I'm going to take a moment to insult your intelligence. Way back in junior high, they told me of the wonders of 3 sets of 10 reps of bench press. And of course, I did it with minimal coordination. It looked like I was paddling an invisible kayak. But we're using a similar idea here. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. On our left hand, we can count sets of 12. Always beginning with the little finger. 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 repetitions. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 repetitions for a total of 144. We keep track of this first collection of 144 by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap, so that our thumbs can happily count creases. Now, is this ungainly? Yeah, sure, you betcha. But repetition is the mother of skill. Come to these live streams once every 12 hours or so, and within a week or two, you could master this entire system. Allow me to remind you that working with our little knuckles gently invites our subtle energies to gather in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Yes. All hail the Kexilicious one. What if enlightenment was nothing spooky or supernatural? What if enlightenment was simply mastering the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? No infant is born with with the ability to use a toilet or brush their teeth or tie their sneakers or ride a bike. A child must learn each of these acts, usually with great effort, some tears, and some time. But virtually every child eventually is able to use the toilet, brush their teeth, tie their shoes, and ride a bike with such skill that they do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. When we do anything with this degree of expertise, that is mastery. So here's the really cool thing, and I hope that by the end of this evening's practice, you'll really get that by simply practicing the 7th folds mindfulness and the 8th folds meditation, we can effortlessly master the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. But I can only convince you of that once you get really, really comfortable with mindfulness and meditation. So what I would like to do is explore the neuroscience of mindfulness and meditation after 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you will not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Sturgeon, so say it along with me if you already know it. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but alas, not in the fun, tingly way. Since the Neolithic Revolution, the majority of humanity, including me and you, have been indoctrinated into the worldview that supports being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel to such a degree that we will actually denigrate others for choosing to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, even though that's how the Buddha was. Therefore, if 90% of folks are just like this, it shouldn't surprise us that 90% of meditation teachers are so rigid that they implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. The only neural pathways that can support this behavior are the discrete regions, or the discrete neural pathways such as those found in our medial prefrontal cortex and our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which really is a tongue twister, isn't it? Now, when we overwork this area, we don't build muscle, we don't build endurance. No. We trigger our almond-shaped amygdala. In fact, I think in ancient Greek, amygdala means almond. But our amygdala is the seat of both anxiety and aggression, which is so ironic because those are the opposite things we want to get from meditation. Most of us don't say, I need to be a cranky son of a bitch and be anxious as hell. I need to tremble like Deputy Barney Fife from the Andy Griffith Show. No one says that. Everyone says, dude, I want to be peaceful and loving. And yet, the majority of advice we get ensure that we will sprint in the opposite direction. Fortunately, neither the amygdala nor our prefrontal cortex are the sum total of the entirety of our central nervous system. So, first piece of good news is that it pertains to mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to access our sympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord, this bad boy has evolved to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which I think you'll agree is the opposite of concentration. But what is it that we are wired to notice? We are wired to notice mind's antics of perception. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, this seems a little complex. Is there an easy way to do it? Yes, everyone needs a hook to hang their hat on, and here's yours. Simply, silently, and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. And you will break the habit. You will break the momentum of your brain's efforts to ignore the sympathetic nervous system, and instead, your brain will, at least momentarily, cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of this same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. In fact, it can help us release what we perceived during our previous inhalation, to the point that that which we perceived could fleetingly feel less defining, less permanent, and less solid. As non-solid or as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. How do we do this? How do we do this effortlessly and easily? Simple. Silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. And not only will you break the momentum of your brain's habit of repressing our parasympathetic nervous system, but you will induce its cooperation. So together as a team, let us meditate right now. If you do mindfulness and meditation right, it is pleasurable. It has been said by the great Prahe Vajra of the Swat Valley that the blissful satisfaction one derives from the practice of mindfulness and meditation, it represents the fulfillment of all Buddhist vows. In other words, to paraphrase a group that was popular in the 90s, do it. Do it real good. I was going to say push it good, but I want to adapt that somehow to perceive good. Let's see. Jay wrote, "Hey Lama, when Gautama was under the Bodhi tree becoming enlightened, did he eat or drink at all? I think he was there for days. I get hangry after about 9 hours. You're supposed to. We evolved that response to ensure we don't starve to death. So There ain't nothing wrong with needing to eat. At that point in the Buddha's life, if memory serves correct, he was eating about one meal a day. Um, he was practicing fasting fruitlessly. He was on the verge of death, and he heard a conversation in a boat in the river, and so he made his way to the river and listened to the conversation, and he had an epiphany based on the conversation. And then soon thereafter, he encountered a gal who was herding beasts of burden. I don't remember exactly what they were, probably water buffalo. And she gave him some milk or some curds. And that was the first proper meal he had in a long time. One of my, I think it was Lama Ole, told me that she eventually became his tantric consort. And so my understanding is that probably once a day she gave him a bowl of food. And so there are people who would tell you that, the key to enlightenment is eating one meal a day. I would tell you that's the key to constipation. Eat when you need to, snack when you need to, listen to your body, cooperate with your body. In fact, one supports the other. What was the conversation the Buddha overheard that gave birth to his great epiphany? Simply this: the teacher said to the student who was trying to learn the sitar, if the string is too tight, it will break. And if the string is too loose, it will not play. And that gave birth to the epiphany that neither the debaucheries of the palace, for he was born a prince, nor the asceticism of the forest were the path to enlightenment, but rather the express path was the middle way of using your body, meeting your body's needs, in neither a superstitious nor a slavish manner, but in a pragmatic way, to treat food and sleep and drinking water and urinating and defecating as medicine, necessary to maintain the health of body and mind, required to master the path. So we don't need to be an ascetic and say, oh, I must not eat. I must have 1 grain of rice per month. Anything more is debaucherous. No, that's stupid. And we can't say, oh, I'm a foodie and I will sell all I own just to have my next meal. I will cross the Atlantic so I can have lunch in Paris. Nothing wrong with eating lunch if you're in Paris, but spending the money to go to Paris just to have lunch is a trifle silly. Excuse me. Dinner's disagreeing with me. So the middle path is being led by centered spontaneity upon the path of inspired pragmatism. In other words, let me break it on down. We have a dopamine system, reward system. If we ignore it, it's going to make us do some fucked up shit, and not in the fun, tingly way. If we overindulge it, it's going to make us do some fucked up shit. So we need to negotiate with our dopamine-oriented reward system. We need to give it sustainable pleasures. Otherwise, it's going to grab the steering wheel and give us a very bad day. So that is how I advise the addicts who I love apply the middle way to their neural chemistry to maintain their sobriety. I think Kevin is a master of finding innocent G-rated sources of dopamine. And so are kitty cats. Sleep, eat, and have zoomies. Zoomies are great for dopamine. In the wonderful movie with Keanu Reeves titled Little Buddha, there is a scene in India, I think it was Dharma Masala, and they visit a monastery, and the little boys who are attending the monastery are running intervals, so they're less hyper during class. Anyone can tell you running wind sprints will release some dopamine. Remember, it's far healthier to run with a stopwatch than run from a cop. Now remember, dopamine is short-term pleasure. Our oxytocin-oriented reward system rewards for cooperation, and rewards for cooperation with a sense of fulfillment, which is long-term pleasure. And so, but if we, fresh air, sunshine, drinking when you're thirsty, eating when you're hungry, sleeping when you're tired, having the zoomies when you feel like it, these things will give us dopamine. And any successful, recovered addict will tell you, you've got to meet the needs of your dopamine-oriented reward system. And for some people, it's harder. For those of us with ADHD, it's harder to meet our dopamine system's needs. For those of us who have bipolar disorder, it is clinically observed that it's harder to meet our dopamine system's needs. People with ADHD, people with bipolar are better candidates for addiction than people who don't suffer from those disorders. Fortunately, there are already people whose life's work renders them experts, either on ADHD or on bipolar or both. And so their expertise is worth seeking. When you look at the recovery of Robert Downey Jr., something that has played a huge part in his recovery is Wing Chun, forgive my pronunciation, Wing Chun Kung Fu. It was something he could get enthusiastic about, and consequently, it gives him a hit of dopamine. Plus, it's fun to watch him use it in movies. He used it quite famously in the first Sherlock Holmes movie he did. Great movie. By the way, the movie Merchant of Death, starring Nicolas Cage, does a wonderful job of exploring. There's a scene where two brothers partake of cocaine. They each have the exact same amount. One is able to say, well, that was a fun experience, and the other was horribly addicted to it. So they had the exact same amount, the exact same genetics. One was addicted and one wasn't. So there is a huge physiological component to addiction. We cannot pretend it's spiritual. We cannot pretend it's intellectual. If we do not honor our body's needs, our body's gonna kick our ass. To which Kevin wrote, LOL, oh yes, I'm a grown-ass child, ain't changing for shit, LOL. Okay, here we go. We come now to our second phase of mindful crease counting. So we're going to gather our second of 4 collections of our right hand's 12 repetitions, and I think because I did so much jibber-jabbering, I think we're going to just do 8 repetitions now, which, whoopsie, wrong button. Let's go back over here and tap button 4. So on my right hand, I can count. So let me try this again. Over the span of 8 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can keep track of our sets of 8 on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 8 for a total of 64. It looks like it's a little bit blurry. Let's do this real quick. And there's no difference. Okay, so we're going to keep track of this second set of 64 repetitions by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap so that our thumbs can happily count creases. Doing so can gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. So, quick review. What is the essence of mindfulness? To silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, that we might notice whatever comes up, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. What is the essence of meditation? To silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, that we might release what we perceived during our previous inhalation, to the point that fleetingly it feels less defining, less permanent, and as less solid as if it was a vast empty void, as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. The first fold of the eightfold path is impermanence, and we can't help but notice it as we breathe in. From moment to moment, we see different sights, we hear different sounds, we taste different tastes, we feel different feelings, we smell different scents. If you have cats, they're going to treat you to all kinds of scents. Similarly, from moment to moment, everything's in flux. What changes? Emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginings. Everything is in constant flux. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. That is how mindfulness and meditation help us to master the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. We come now to our third of 4 phases of mindful crease counting. We shall keep track. We shall keep track of our third collection. Our right hand's 8 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Allow me to elaborate. Over the span of 8 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can multiply that by 8 in our left hand, counting sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 8 repetitions. To keep track of this third of 4 collections, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip, of our left middle finger in our lap, palms up, so our thumbs can happily count creases. Holding our middle knuckle this way gently invites our subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. So let's review. The easiest way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, while exercising the courage to notice whatever comes up, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. The essence of meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, that we might release what we perceive during our previous inhalation, to the point that what we perceived feels as non-graspable as a vast empty void, to the point that what we perceived feels as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is not graspable to the hand. Now, I would like to explore the second and third benefits of regularly training in mindfulness and meditation. Train in mindfulness and meditation at least once every 12 hours or so, and it will soothe our amygdala's anxiety and aggression. It will also stimulate our anterior cingulate gyruses, which let's try that again. Our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. This is exactly why the late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest love is not the product of the contrivance of focus or analysis. Au contraire, according to Tulku Thondup, the highest love is the fringe benefit is the spontaneous and uncontrived fringe benefit of awareness and release. Oopsie, let's try that again. Awareness and release. You see, my friends, 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, kindness of commerce, where we forsake being a Chad and a Karen. Let us meditate together right now. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist mindfulness, Buddhist meditation, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Do not wait till the end. Strike now while the iron is hot. We come now to the fourth and final phase of mindful crease counting. We shall keep track of our fourth collection of 64 rounds upon our right hands, using our right hand's 8 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And our left hand's 8 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 8 repetitions. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 8 repetitions. We should keep track of the fourth collection by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap, palms up. Thus, gently inviting our subtle energies to coalesce at the crown region of our head. Quick review. The easiest way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus stimulating our sympathetic nervous system to assist us in noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But noticing what? Noticing mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But what are we to do with all this stuff? Meditate. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, that we might viscerally release what we perceived during our previous inhalation, that what we perceived could fleetingly feel less defining, less permanent, less solid, as non-graspable as a vast empty void, as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. We come now to the fourth benefit of regularly training in mindfulness and meditation, wherein our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Nope, not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. Allow me to illustrate. If you have 6 espressos, you might have some scattered spontaneity. But if you practice mindfulness and meditate, you will experience centered spontaneity. Let's practice. May we joyfully relax into the perfect imperfections of our Buddha nature. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.